This is the Chris Allen MMA show. Today I'm being joined by, basically, it's probably the best up-and-coming fighter at the moment in the UK. He's 3-0 in his amateur career. He's already fighting in Cage Warriors Academy. What a fantastic year 2019 was for this man. It's Amir, the Sultan Ellithy. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you coming on, man. It's just amazing. You young guys, coming up and through the ranks at the moment. It's just what an exciting time for MMA, especially in the UK. Like, you new breed of guys are coming through. Do you feel like you're just blessed to be part of this sport while it's growing so quickly, at this time and moment?
Do you know what? Yeah, for me, I just discovered the sport like 2 years ago. But I mean, when I came down, like, with all the people I'm training with now, I get shocked because the people I feel like I'm training with are like, I feel like they're levels above the people, like a lot of the people out there right now. And it's I just feel really lucky. I feel lucky because I get the opportunity to learn so much from, especially Team Underground, which is, you say I'm an up and comer. Team Underground's an up and comer. I mean, over the past year, the guys at that gym have gone mental, and I think next year it's gonna blow up even more.
Yeah, mate, the level down there, especially in the amateur ranks as well, mate, is absolutely unbelievable. I'm surprised none of you guys are actually just turning pro straight away. The level that's coming out of there. Like, I speak to people like Jay Shepherd and all them guys from your gym, and they say these amateurs are giving us a bloody hard time, mate. And it must be nice to hear that from these guys that have been doing it for a while.
Yeah, it does. I mean, especially Jay. Jay's a gangster, man. I mean, every time he comes onto the gym, I feel like, I mean, he says we give him trouble. I don't think he's talking about me because Jay can batter me whenever he wants. But I really do enjoy training with him. And I mean, whenever I get compliments like that from people like Jay or like Harry as well, like just or Rico. I mean, we trained. We went up to Sweden. We went to All Stars and joined them out there. And it was just a pleasure to train with people like that. It was just, yeah.
I bet, man. And how did that feel, mate? So early on in your career, some people can only dream about doing that so early on, going to Sweden and training over there with those guys. How was that, like, whole experience for you of going over there? Did it make it all like feel really real, sort of thing?
Do you know what? Yeah, I was pathetic over there. I was fangirling over every single person. No one knew their name. I knew them. I was like, I watch so much MMA, and it's sad how much MMA I watch. So
That's
I
good.
knew everyone over there. It was sad. Like, I was fangirling over the coaches. Like, when I met Andreas Michael, I was like bitching out like over him. I was so shy, and I only got to train with Gustafsson once, but even Gustafsson, when I saw him, I literally followed him into the locker rooms to try and get a picture with him. I was trying not to be pervy because he's a big guy. I didn't want him to like get the wrong idea, but I went in there. I was like, sorry, sir. Could I get a picture with you? It's like the proudest achievement of my whole time over there. But training over there with those professionals, it really it made me. Whenever people say there's levels to this, when I was training over there, it really made me notice it, because as much as, like, we come from I guess we're a good grappling gym, but what our gym's bread and butter is Muay Thai, like, especially for the younger guys, like. And when we go over there and you really grapple with real grapplers, like people who've been wrestling from when they're 5, 6, 7 years old, you realize there are levels to this. And I mean, I felt grips over there. I swear to God, I couldn't break him with a vice. Like, one guy submitted me from a position I was so confident I wasn't going to get submitted in. I had him, like, I had my arms wrapped around his back in guard. I locked it. I was like, no, he's going to submit me from here. But no, forget it, bro. I did my shit like that, and he got me.
I know, mate, and it makes you, it's like a wake up call, isn't it, sort of thing, and it's important, you go around to, these different, like, I know Steve's very encouraging of sending you guys all around the world, like he's thinking of sending people to Alpha Male in America, and things like that, and mate, it just shows it's very important to get out there and get out your comfort zone, sort of thing. But again, the level at Team Underground, mate, Steve's jiu-jitsu is just second to none. Do you know what I mean?
In the United Kingdom for MMA, it is really difficult to find a coach that can compete with Steve. Like, just he is very, like, the thing that makes him such an outstanding coach is that he is so willing to learn. which makes him such an outstanding coach. He's so willing to just like, he really doesn't have that like an ego when it comes to training, which is so important, which is uh, why I think it shows when he's willing to send us to other places, because there are lots of coaches out there that don't want to send their fighters to other places because they're like, no, where's the loyalty? Where's this? And it's like, it's not a disloyal thing to send your guy to another place. If you sincerely want the best for your fighter, you'll be willing to send them anywhere. You just want them to get the best standard of training. And that shows from Steve, because he sincerely cares about his fighters to a point where he'll be willing to send them somewhere else just to be sure that they get the best standard of training. And when he does it, we always come back and we're going to share that knowledge with the rest of us. And it just makes all of us better.
That's it. Just one big happy family, man. That's what it's all about, mate. And Steve actually said before, he goes, look, I don't make millions out of doing this sort of thing, you know, but the only thing I ask from my fighters is that loyalty. That's all I want. I don't want their money. I just want loyalty. And it just proves, doesn't it? And do you know what? The day that he sends someone out there and they don't come back, God forbid it ever happens, you know, they'll be the ones kicking themselves, mate, at the end of the day.
I guarantee you.
Yeah, man. Look at your gym, man. You've had big stars go down there as well. You think even what's his name went down there? What's his name? Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker.
Yeah.
That's it. He popped down, and I've actually stood next to that guy before, and I'm 6'4", and he's taller than me. I think you cut to light heavyweight. I'm like, look, that's the size of the guy. But it just shows, you know, if these people are happy to come down, you know, there must be some sort of level.
He is definitely a freak athlete, but it was good to have someone like him come down because it is different. And just for morale, I think it was really nice to have someone like him down, because we didn't really get to train with him too much, but just him coming down and just like showing people like this is how it gets to you. And he's a lot of people think because he's Brazilian that he's a Brazilian born talent and he went from Brazil to the UFC. No, he came here. He was fighting in Cage Warriors and stuff, Cage Rage and stuff like that.
Yeah, and UFC MMA as well.
Yeah. And he is what I define as a British built talent, because he was up in Scotland, he was down in Southampton for a bit. I mean, now he's out in Russia, but he is a British fighter, regardless of what people say. I mean, his jiu-jitsu isn't even that outstanding. He's a phenomenal striker, but that shows because it came from here.
That's it. It always amazes me. He's the Brazilian man with an English name. You know what I mean? And he's rocking around the UKC, mate. Love the guy. Such a shame. He lost his last couple. I think he has, but you know, I'm sure he'll be back, mate. I'm sure he'll be back. So, obviously, you said you started watching MMA literally a couple of years ago. I want to start with like, well, first of all, what were you doing before you did MMA? Were you playing some football? Were you doing some boxing? What were you doing?
I did a little bit of boxing when I was about 15-ish, but I didn't really stick to it for whatever reason, because I was a huge boxing fan. And apart from that, like just CrossFit and like weightlifting and stuff like that until I was about 18. And then I think on my 19th birthday-ish, I came down to Team Underground because a lot of the guys from my school had trained here, and I'd always really enjoyed like just competitive stuff, but I just never really had the opportunity to compete. So I had a friend, and I sort of like followed him down here. I cancelled all my memberships. I came down to Team Underground, and I started doing white collar boxing because I thought that was like, oh yes, I'm gonna compete, because I just wanted anything. And I was there for like 3 weeks or something like that, but there was just it's just white collar boxing. I'm not really gonna get like a really high standard of training from it. So I went up to Big John, like John Haggerty, who scared the crap out of me when I saw him. And like, he has the deepest voice in the whole world. And he's sitting behind the counter, and I sort of just like tiptoe up to him and go like, is there anything I can do to compete? He goes, yes, mate. We're going to do, you're going to do the jiu-jitsu. Go down and do the jiu-jitsu class with Steve. And I went down there on my first day, and I literally went to every class for like 6 months after that. And the moment I started doing it, I was like, this is something I need to learn everything about. So I just started watching every full UFC event I could. I started watching The Ultimate Fighter. I just immersed myself in it to the point where it's sad. And I just like, not sad, I just have like an obsession, but in a bad way.
No, that's a good thing, man. Like when people are sitting home watching Netflix and flicking through what to watch, I'm flicking through UFC Fight Pass, man. And,
exactly.
You know what I mean? And you know what? if you saw, I'm making myself sound old now, but I've got my DVD collection. I've even got a couple of tapes, videos, mate, like UFC 1 on VHS, mate, video.
Oh my
Do you know
God.
what I mean, mate? And I've got loads of DVDs all stacked up of all the Ultimate Fighters and stuff like that, mate. And well, my wife's pregnant at the moment, so when the little one's born, that's his viewing. You know what I mean? He's got
Yeah.
UFC 1. We'll start from the beginning.
You just stick it in front of him, and slowly he's gonna just start shadow boxing in front of you, and you go, "What is this kid doing?" Like,
And everyone goes, what if it's a girl? I said, there's a female division, isn't there? What's wrong with you?
yeah,
You know what I mean? Exactly, mate. You know what I mean? Look at bloody look how well Steve's daughter's doing. You know, Chloe, she's winning titles in Cage Warriors Academy as well, mate. You know, his boy's doing
Chloe's
well.
better than the boys. Chloe, I refuse to spar with Chloe. She beats. I would spar any heavyweight, Francis Rosenstreich, God knows what else, anyone. But I'm not sparring Chloe Cook because she beats me up and I don't like it. And she doesn't just beat me up; she makes me feel stupid because I'm getting beaten up by someone so small.
I know her Thai fighting's unbelievable, man, isn't it? I've seen
It's
like,
phenomenal.
and that's just born into them too. Like same with I keep forgetting his name, Dave as well, his son as well.
David's a monster as well.
Look at both of them, man. Look, they've had their father from day one. I think even their mother. I think isn't Steve's missus a purple belt or something in jiu-jitsu as well? So
Oh yeah, no, yeah. She's a purple belt. His current one, but yeah, she does the classes as well, and she beats me up as well. It's horrible. When I see the Cook family at gym, I just start shaking. I have to start warming up before everyone else, just so I don't risk anything. I get petrified. Just if it's grappling, I'm uncomfortable. If it's striking, I'm uncomfortable. If it's wrestling, I'm uncomfortable, and it's all the Cook family fault because every one of them beat me up, and I hate it. But it makes me better. So what can I do?
that's it, mate. That's it. There's always someone harder, mate. And you know what I mean. You just didn't expect it to be the little 5'2" Chloe, did you? But there you are, mate. Don't mess with her.
Don't fuck with the Cook family. They will beat you up.
I know, man.
From first-hand experience.
I saw David's last fight in person at ECMMA, actually. I don't know, you were there, weren't you? Upstairs.
Yeah, I was there.
I thought you were there. Yeah. And just by the time I actually finished interviewing the guy before, and he was like, "Oh, I finished my fight." I'm like, "What? What do you finished your fight?" Do you know what I mean?
What you did?
I was like, I literally saw you like. So I watched his fight, but I didn't watch his fight because it was that quick. You know what I mean, man? But
I was taking the mick out of him. I was like, could you make it last like any quicker? Because you know what I mean, like you didn't even get out of breath. He didn't even sweat in his fights. It winds me up. I'm looking at him. I'm like, bro, I get so greasy. What's wrong with you? You're not even sweating. You're not even breathing heavy.
Well, I remember when I first met David, he's the typical guy, like, you know, that's what I love about you, like yourself as well, like fighters, you don't look like fighters, you know, which is a good thing, you know, because when you step up against your opponent, I swear people look at people like David and stuff, think, oh, who's this young guy? Do you know what I mean? I'm just going to plow through him, and then all of a sudden, he just gets beaten the shit out of, as we saw. Do you know what I mean? That's what I love about the up-and-coming talent, man. Everyone's like, who are these youngsters? And they're like these adults, and well, here we are. Do you know what I mean, mate? It's all good. I forgot what I was even saying now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're talking about like the Cooks being killers, but let's not giving them all the bloody credit all the time, yeah. Nah, they're fantastic people, great fighters, man. But then so back to yourself. So you had a fantastic year last year, man. You know, what a dream start to your MMA career, mate.
Yeah, I was really lucky. I mean, especially I feel like I'm not like you say, I'm not like a typical like fighter in the sense where I know I'm not like one of those like tough guys, like he's gonna come off all angry and stuff like that, because I'm not like that. I'm really not. Like, if anyone knows me, I'm the complete opposite of that. And so when I first started doing this, every fight I have, I'm just like, oh, I'm so scared. But the first one, I was petrified. And for the longest time, it took Steve about 18 months to even convince me to fight, because I didn't want to do it. I mean, I started training.
Why was that? Why didn't you were happy to train, obviously? Why didn't you want to do it, if you mind me asking?
I'm just, now I enjoy it. Now, like, I'm a competitor, definitely, at heart, but I didn't think I had that, like, aggression to compete. Like,
it's not all aggression, though, man. Technique. It's all about keeping your head straight, man, and technique, you know.
And that's what I learned very quickly. I mean, in my first fight, I was so scared of anything. I just jumped guard. I just did what I did naturally. And Steve still gets angry at me about that to this day. So, but it just took me a long time to sort of work up to it. It still does now. But what I've just come to terms with is, if I'm scared, everyone, like, no one's walking in there like jumping for joy, going, okay, let's fight. As much as people like to say it, I've never met anyone who does. It's scary going in there. You're like, Sultan says it best. You're gonna walk out into a cage with your shirt off, and you're gonna be brave. No, you're gonna be scared. Everyone is, and it just took me a long time to work up to it. I didn't want to do it, but after the first one, I felt like I didn't get enough out of it because it was only about 90 seconds where I jumped guard, and I wanted something a little bit more proper. So I was like, I'm gonna take a fight, but if I take one, I'm gonna not want to do it again for a while after, because I like the weight cut, the training, everything. So I'm like, I'm gonna book 3 fights. If I book 3 fights, I'll fight 3 times, and that way I can get a good little, like, I can get some momentum going, and I can see how I feel from there. And I had my first fight scheduled. I had a second fight scheduled in, like, I want to say June. I cut. I made weight. I stepped on the scale. My opponent didn't show up.
Typical, man. Nightmare.
It was horrible. And especially for me, I take weight cutting really seriously, and I make sure I do everything to a T perfect when I'm cutting weight. Like, so when I cut weight like that, it's not something I can do regularly. It's something that if I'm gonna do it, I'll do it right. But I can't do it every like 4 weeks or something like that. I have to do it like maybe once every 2 months or something like that. It gets very difficult. So when I stepped on scale, it just killed me. Especially, it was me and Jack Clark, and he shout out Jack Clark MMA. I got to do stuff like
man.
that now.
He's a good guy.
But yeah, it was me and him, and like me and him for the first like 3 fights. Most of our fights we fight in the same card, and he's sort of like my weight cut fight week buddy. Like, we sort of hold each other's hands when we get through it, because it is horrible. If anyone doesn't cut, like, for anyone who doesn't cut, like, really cut or have a proper fight week, it is the worst thing in the world. And I don't care what anyone says, there is no fight in a cage. The only fight is with a scale, because that is the shit that really, as far as I know, messes anyone up. And me and him sort of always do our weight cut fight weeks together. So whenever on that first fight, me and him were both scheduled to fight. I was scheduled to fight just before he was, because I think he was fighting for a title, and his opponent pulled out as well, because our opponents were from the same gym. So we'd both sort of done all of this stuff, spent all this money, had this whole fight camp, and our opponents pulled out right in the last minute.
That must be the worst thing for a fighter, man. Must be the worst thing after going through all that training and then selling all those tickets or whatever, and all your friends and family turning up, and then there's no one there. It's just a nightmare, man.
It wasn't nice. And I was offered the journeyman, but I just didn't want to take what. For me, personally, I didn't want to take a journeyman just because I don't want. I want experience. If I'm gonna train, if I'm gonna fight, I'm a competitor. Like, I'm not insanely athletic. I'm not really like one of these tough guy fighters. What I really do this for is for competition, because that's what I really love to do. And I'd just rather go out there and have a real competition rather than go out there and know I'm going to win beforehand. So, I mean, for me, when I was offered the journeyman, it just wasn't really an option for me. So I just sort of had to sit on the back burner and wait another 8 weeks or so until I could fight again.
Yeah, I think you did the right thing there, mate. And I think you're doing it correctly. You know, you're not putting your body through too much too soon on your career. You know, you want to do this as full-time career, you know, when you turn pro eventually. And you know what I mean? You need to make sure you're ready for that. You don't want to be all withered and beaten up and all like, you know, I've been cutting weight every month and it's just no good for you. And it's good that you've got that mentality, mate. You know, it really is, because still quite new to the sport, but it just shows the what they're teaching you as well, Team Underground as well, how to do things properly and stuff. And it's nice they haven't forced you into anything you didn't want to do, because you do hear those things as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what a great year, though, man. What a great year, though, at the end of the day. And how amazing. Did you ever think that you'd be sitting on a Cage Warriors card in your 3rd amateur fight, mate?
Do you know what, yeah? Whenever Steve was talking about it, even just before I agreed to do it, and I was like, no, I'm not ready for that. Like, just looking at, like, I always, like, the guys on there are just gangsters, just every one of them. I mean, they come from all over Europe, and the majority of them are phenomenal fighters. Even the guy I beat won ADCC in Norway. He's like a phenomenal grappler. Like, even to the point where I was walking in there going, I'm gonna get fucked up. Like, I still think he'd fuck me up. I sincerely believe if me and him were to fight again, it would be a different fight because that guy is a straight killer. Not that anyone on there isn't. I mean, everyone on there is a phenomenal fighter. So it just shows how good of a team that we have, that we could go on there and win, well, whatever it was, 7 out of 7 fights on one card. Yeah.
Just a normal day in the office for you boys, isn't it? MMA, Cage Warriors, you know, what's new, mate? Do you know what I mean? Was it Jay wins everything? He's got too many titles he can hold on to now. He's gonna look like Klitschko soon when there's hundreds of belts holding on himself.
That's every person at our gym. Don't talk to me about it. I need one of those belts just so I can feel like I can fit in. I'm walking around with medals and they make me feel like I'm like, oh yeah, cute. Like
mate, as I said, you're not rushing into things, mate. You're doing it the right way, and fair play if you've turned down the journeyman as well. A lot of people would have taken that just, you know, to get a performance on in front of their friends and family. But mate, you did the right thing. I think you're right, because anything could happen against these people. You could have got injured in that fight for all you knew. You know what I mean? So there, mate, fair play to you, and yeah, fair play. So you said you like, you know, when you got the scales, you felt a bit, you know, drained. You don't look withered and drained when you're at that weight class. But do you actually struggle a bit to get there sometimes?
So my first fight was at 66.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm about, I'd say that was about as big as you can get. I'm about as big as someone could get for 66. I'd say I'd walk around about what Conor walked around at when he fought 66. So okay. Probably about 170 pounds, which, like, I wouldn't recommend doing it. It was me thinking I could do more than I could, because I don't carry a lot of fat or anything like that, and I'd say I do eat a lot, and I do eat a lot of like crap when I get down. But when I'm in camp, I'm a little bit more disciplined. I try to intermittent fast, and especially now, I was trying to get my weight down before while I'm in lockdown because it's just an easier chance. But for that, it was too much. So I moved up to 70, and I still walk around about 76, 77. And for there, that's a much more realistic cut. I can do that. Like,
fair enough, man.
Easier. Yeah.
What about now, would you say, like, roughly at the moment?
Right now, I've been dieting. I'm lean. I'm probably 75 and a half. My plan was, if I'm honest, to go back down to 66 for my next fight. But I don't think I'm going to do it anymore. I think I can compete at 70 healthily and without draining myself and without starving myself. And I'm not really worried about strength too much. I know a lot of people move down because they don't want to go against someone too strong. That's not really a fear for me. My real fear is going against someone a lot faster and fitter than me. So I'd just rather be at my weight class where I feel like I can grind people a little bit, especially with my style. So it sort of works better for me to fight at this weight class.
Yeah, man, fair play to you, mate. And imagine if, obviously, you probably, I'm sure you're itching to fight at the moment. Obviously, you've been locked down, and you know, like, how have you been during lockdown, mate? How have you been able to, like, stop yourself from basically turning into a middleweight?
Do you know what? After every fight, I turned into a middleweight. So I was lucky because after my last fight, it was in October. I really ballooned up. I got up to 85, 86 kilos at one point.
Wow.
So we were making jokes about it, but I could have sincerely fought a welterweight comfortably. Like, so I just thought I can't do it. And when this lockdown started, for me, I always have difficulty monitoring my diet because I'm always so busy. Because, like, I'm always working. I've got uni. I'm training, like, you know, maybe sometimes twice a day. And I've just got so much stuff going on in my life. It's difficult to just keep track of what I'm eating. So I thought I'd take advantage of while we're in lockdown and just I started intermittent fasting. I started watching what I was eating a little bit, and I just started doing a lot of like low base cardio and like long distance running and stuff like that. And I got down really low at one point. Now I'm starting to gain it back a little bit because I've been lazy for the past week and a half. But yeah, I got down really low. I got down to like 74 at one point. I got down to like the lightest I've been, like, as long as I can remember.
That's it. Sorry, fair enough, mate. That's it. And obviously, let's keep it. Obviously, try and keep it there, because I'm sure when this lockdown lifts up, Cage Warriors I think they're already announcing shows and stuff later in the year already. So yeah, mate, get yourself nice and ready, and then that weight cut won't be too brutal, as I say. You'll feel a lot better. That's it, mate. That's it. And what sort of training you able to do in lockdown at the moment? Like, because obviously we can't exactly go down Team Underground and roll with people.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I get a lot of running in at the moment. Just like for me, I never really do a lot of running or weightlifting or anything like that. I always try and focus on the actual martial arts training, just for me. And I always watch like I watch a lot of George St. Pierre videos, and he always talks about how it's about efficiency. Because we're all athletes. We all have like high VO2 maxes. We're all very comfortable being very tired because we're there every day. So what you really need to do is develop efficiency. And that's what I'm trying to do at the moment, especially standing up, because it's not somewhere that I've been doing for a long time. I've not been boxing or kickboxing for a long time. And you can feel it, especially when I'm like stiffening up, when I'm getting hit and stuff like that. And it really drains me. So right now, I'm just trying to get my cardio to a place where when I do get back to training, it's just going to be straight into training. It's not going to be me trying to get back into shape for 2 weeks or me trying to lose a bit of weight. I just want to go in there and get training straight away. So when the time comes where I am offered a fight, I can just go straight into it knowing that I'm ready.
That's it. That's a sensible way to do things, mate. And obviously, you're talking about your cardio. How did you feel in your last fight, mate? It was the first time you've seen a third round. How did that feel, getting to the third round?
It felt like crap. I'm not going to lie. I was, do you know when you're so tired, you can taste like metal? That's how tired
Yeah.
I was. I was so tired. And my opponent said it to me. Like, do you know what? Yeah, in the fight, if you watch the second round, you can hear the commentators going, "Oh, he's speaking to his corner." And what I was doing is my best friend was in my corner for that fight, and I looked up at him, and I know John's not going to tell me, and I know Steve's not going to tell me. So I went, "Yo, Dan, how long have I got left in this round?" Like that, and that's what they didn't hear me say that, but that's what I was saying because I was just completely exhausted. Like, I mean, for that fight, I knew I had to have a bit of a grinding style because I knew the guy I was fighting was what I think he was stronger than me, like physically, and I think his wrestling was as good as mine, and he's a very good grappler as well, and I knew he could get up from his back, so I knew it would just be me having to try and grind him out a little bit, so I knew it was going to be like that beforehand. So I tried to go in there as relaxed as possible, but there's no way it's going to be easy. It does get tiring. So for that one, it was shocking. I think actually, to be honest with you, the fight before, I was just as tired, but like it was different. It was different. But I like I said, that's why I'm trying to get my cardio better, so I can do like that and be Tony Ferguson or Colby Covington or
Go beat up
someone.
Kobe Covington, mate. Go beat him up for me. Do me a favour. I'd love to see that guy get beaten, mate. Don't get me wrong, the geezer's a fantastic fighter. I'm not going to take that away from him. Do you know what I mean? But what a dick is the only
Yeah,
thing
he
I can
has
say.
he,
They're all trying to do what McGregor did, man, but they don't do it very well.
no,
That's
they
the thing.
don't. And it's because they lack like they don't add anything original to it. I mean, what Kobe does it, Henry does it,
Don't
and a
start
few
me on Henry Cejudo as well, mate. Don't.
and another guy who does it that people don't realize was trying to do it, but was trying to do it as well, try and get himself popular, was Alexander Hernandez when he
Yeah,
fought Cowboy. And it's just like this sort of like the only thing I can appreciate from Henry is that he goes, "Yes, I'm cringy." Everyone else sort of tries to like now play it off like, yeah, I'm cool, I'm Connor, you're not. And it just gets difficult to look at, man. It just so but yeah, I mean, as much as they are wonderful fighters, I mean, Henry is a tremendous fighter. Henry might be, as much as I don't like him, and as much as he fucking winds me up when he talks, he might be one of the best fighters I've ever seen.
yeah, I think you're right. To me, before the best fighter I'd ever seen was Demetrius Johnson. You know,
Yeah.
and then look what he did to Demetrius Johnson. Look what he did to TJ Dillashaw, and now like loads of that. Then Dominic Cruz. When he beat Dominic Cruz, everyone says about Cruz has got ring rust. I don't. Cruz can come back after 4 years and fight the same as he did 4 years ago. Do you know what I mean? In that fight, he just got caught. Do you know what I mean? It's as simple as that. And
Yeah.
I think Cejudo retired at the right time. To be honest with you.
I'm so happy he retired because do you know what? Yeah, there's been two people like if he really does retire, and this isn't just like we'll find out tomorrow. We'll find out today. Today we'll find out. I mean, Dana said they're gonna match up Petian today, so hopefully we'll find out today. But he if he retires now, he might be one of the few guys to actually get out on top, which I really hope he does. Because, I mean, the only good examples I can think of it in, there aren't really very many in MMA. The only one is George St. Pierre. But in boxing, you got like Marvin Hagler did it while he was on top. And obviously, my favorite is Andre Ward. Andre Ward got out on top, and he got out when he was getting offered hundreds of millions of dollars. I think a lot of people sort of don't realize it's their time to go, and I really do hope Henry goes right now, because he's never looked back. In the last 2 fights of his career, he has never looked back. Almost, for me, it sounds stupid. For me, he's the Floyd Mayweather of MMA right now in his fighting style, because what he did in that Marlon Moraes fight, which is very difficult to see. You never see it in MMA. You see it in boxing very, very rarely. And the only person you really see it to a very, very high standard in boxing is Floyd Mayweather, is someone who can completely switch their styles in the middle of a fight. And that's what Henry Cejudo does. And no, I've never seen anyone else do it the way he did it. Because he literally came out first round like he fought Demetrius Johnson in the karate style, and like pouring at the front hand and like really side on, and he was getting his legs chewed the fuck up. And then second round, he came out in a real boxing style, like he did before he fought Wilson Hayes. Back then, when he came out in the tie shorts, he came out like that, and he looked phenomenal fighting against him. And he did the same thing. He came out this time, no karate style with Dominic Cruz. He came out completely with the boxing style. And I just can't think of anyone in MMA that's done that.
No, man, and do you know what? Fair play to the guy. He's not a big guy either. You know, he looked pretty small at flyweight. So, do you know what I mean? So,
he is petite.
Yeah, fair play to the guy. Like the high difference of him and Cruz was unbelievable. Like, I lost money, mate. I put money on Cruz. You know what I mean? But here we are. You know, but the other greatest of all time potentially, I always said, is like John Jones as well, mate. Because despite all the getting off, well, to be fair, even though he's getting off his head on drugs and stuff like that, he's still winning fights on a come down. You know what I mean? But it's. But look, you've got to imagine what that guy's done as well. So I don't think anyone could beat him. I don't think anyone could beat Khabib. But
it's difficult, man. I mean, now I think Khabib is number one pound for pound. It's like I've always believed that the only way to beat an opponent is you need to be drastically better than them, but you only need to be drastically better in one place. John Jones is drastically better than his opponents everywhere, which makes it so. There's no game planning for someone like John Jones. There's no way to sit down with your team and go, okay, here's what we're gonna do. You sort of just have to go out there and hope for the best. You just have to go out there and do what you're best at. And sometimes that may not necessarily work, but that's your only option. But with someone like Khabib, you can sort of go, okay, cool, I can try and stop the takedown, or I can try and tire him out, or I can try and do this and that. With John Jones, it doesn't work. So
because Jones's ground game and submission game is unbelievable, man.
It's just difficult. He's a horrible person to fight. Like it would like my favorite fighter of all time is Daniel Cormier. So you can imagine how pissed off I am just watching John Jones fight. Like so, like it just like as much as I'd hate to give an individual like him credit, he's phenomenal. It's just there's no question.
I'm completely with you. I love DC as well, mate. I'm just so devastated when he had the Stipe fight and thought he could walk towards Stipe with his hands down. But you know, it's one of those things. But that fight will happen again, I'm sure, mate.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right though. There's so many good names. But with Khabib, if you look at his fights he had with Ally Quinta, you know, he took him all fight. I think Michael Johnson as well took him all the rounds, didn't he, as well? Remember rightly?
Yeah, third round. He got Michael Johnson out there.
Third round, wasn't it? Yeah. And tell you what, Johnson, I think, remember, rocked Khabib at one point in that fight as well.
Johnson has the most underrated resume in maybe MMA history for the people he's beaten, or for the people that he's just beaten up. Like, he might not. I mean, he beat Edson Barbosa. He was the last person to give Tony Ferguson his loss before Tony went on the streak. And he didn't just beat Tony, he beat him by decision, which I think is even more impressive, because he went all 3 rounds with one of the dirtiest cardio machines on the planet, and he broke Tony's arm with a kick. He beat Edson, and he looked tremendous while he was doing it. He knocked out Dustin Poirier before Dustin Poirier went on his run. He almost beat Justin Gaethje. Michael Johnson's a phenomenal fighter. I mean, it's so difficult to watch him because he fought. Did he fight Wednesday? He fought Wednesday.
Yeah, that's what I'm just trying to think back in my head now. There's been so many fights.
He got submitted, and it was difficult for that because he looked so good in the first round.
That's it. He was winning, wasn't he? He was
dominating in the first round. He looked tremendous, and then he just caught. And it's all like fair play to his opponent. His opponent came out and switched up the game plan. But I mean, it's just difficult to look at someone like Michael Johnson like that. He's tremendous. He could easily be in the top 5 right now, and I could easily see him beating really highly ranked people, but he just sort of just gets unlucky.
Yeah, if you look at the people, like you say, look at the people that he's beaten, then look at the people he's barely lost to as well. That's the other thing people look at.
Like, I mean, especially Justin Gaethje, that fight was like, he rocked Justin Gaethje a million times. Justin Gaethje just has a capacity to take damage phenomenally,
and dish it out.
Yeah, and dish it out.
As I'm sure Ferguson still can look in the mirror and see, but Ferguson took those shots, mate. And fair play to him at the end of the day. Sickening, wasn't it, man? But yeah, but I'll tell you what, I'll get your opinion on. Did you watch the last card? Well, no, it wasn't the last one. Anthony Smith versus Teixeira.
Yeah.
On your opinion, do you think that fight was stopped too late? As in, like, around too late? When the fact that Smith had to pick his teeth up and give him to the referee to hold on to.
Well, I want it all. Those were fake teeth. Those weren't real teeth. So.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So he has like I don't know what they are, like fillings or something like that, but he carries those. But for me, I had money on Glover winning that fight. This is gonna sound horrible, but I put money on fights not for the money, just for the gratification. I just want to go. Yeah, I saw it coming. So, because I always thought that was a bad matchup for Anthony, because I feel like they both have a very similar style with the boxing and the jiu-jitsu. But I feel like Glover has the better boxing and jiu-jitsu, and not only that, he looks so crafty. He's on a 5-fight winning streak right now, and the people he's beaten, he's looked so good against all of them. But that, for me, I think it should have been stopped. I think it should have been stopped earlier. I think he took a lot of unnecessary damage, and Anthony Smith is a gangster. He's not gonna give up. And like everyone said it, no, he's not gonna give up. He doesn't even. You shouldn't even have to put him in a position where he should have to say he wants to, because it's not fair. Because as much as we don't want to say it's an ego thing, it is an ego thing. He shouldn't have to be put out there, and like to the point, Anthony Smith is so much of a gangster. He won't even give up his neck. He could have given up his neck to Glover. Glover's a second-degree black belt. It would not be hard for him to submit him. He's so much of a gangster. He went, no, I'm going to get through this. And he shouldn't have had to. Everyone could see he was done. He shouldn't have been put out for the 5th round. It wasn't fair to him. For me, I don't want to say, even maybe they could have thrown in the towel halfway through the 4th. I would have hoped for my team, if I was fighting, that they would have done it. Because that might have taken years off of his life. That was a horrific beating that he shouldn't have taken. He had a broken orbital, he lost teeth, he had a broken nose. I mean, that's the same damage Tony Ferguson took, except it's against a guy that weighs easily 220, 225 pounds. It wasn't fair.
And for 5 rounds, he took it as well.
It wasn't fair. And he looked tremendous in the first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
But it's just, I mean, his coaching team is fabulous. Like, James Krause, for me, I think he's like right now. I don't think anyone's like immersed in the game the way James Krause is, just competing in grappling tournaments, coaching people, fighting in like 11 different weight classes. But I just think he had too much going on in his corner. And they were just, I mean, he just put on a pace that it was clear no one at his weight could keep up that kind of pace. It doesn't matter who you are, no one's keeping up that kind of pace.
No, man, you're right. No, you're completely right. And mate, what a great 3 cards we just had, mate, as well. It was actually absolutely lovely to have something to watch, mate, for the weekend, mate.
Oh, my God.
I actually stayed up till 4 a.m. was the latest I got to, I think, till I passed out. Do you know what I mean? But that was the Tony Ferguson, that was the Ferguson card. I was like, I'm staying up. Even the prelims, every fight's like a main event card and fight. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not missing this shit. So yeah, fair play to the UFC, mate. They sorted us out for sure with that one, mate.
It's much appreciated.
I just can't wait for Bellator and Cage Warriors and the regional scenes all to get back up and running as well, mate. That's just going to be the most important thing. But the problem that worries me about the regional scene is that the steps the UK want to take is that, like, step 3 or whatever they call it, phase 3, they're going to start opening sport events, but behind closed doors. Well, you and me both know that regional events generally are funded by ticket sales. Most likely things are. So it worries me that that's going to get delayed even more. Do you know what I mean?
It's going to be difficult. I mean, I think Cage Warriors do an unplugged show, but they're not going to have any. Very rare they have an amateurs thing on there. Maybe one amateur, like a super high level amateur fight. But yeah, it's looking to me. I don't think we're going to get anything back into October, if I'm honest.
I know, man. It must be tough for someone like you as well. You know, you got 3 fights. You know, just come off a fantastic win against a great grappler, which you finished on the ground, if I remember rightly. You know what I mean? So that's
Mm.
obviously one to that's a tick in one box there for you. Do you not drive? Are you just itching to get out there now, or from actually from what
Definitely.
you are? Yeah.
I'm winding Steve up to the point where he's just going, shut up, man. Where were you last year? Last year you were complaining every fight you wanted to retire.
I
Every
was
fight you
going to
wanted
say.
your last fight. And now you want to fight? And,
Quality, man. Quality. That's it, mate. That's what you said. You've got through that first year. You know, you've got the momentum now, as they say. You know, you built up that momentum. You got to win against a solid opponent in a big organisation, man. And man, the sky's the limit. It's going to be fantastic for you, mate. And before I let you go, though, mate, something I like to ask everyone, mate, is where did the nickname come from? Who called you the Sultan? Where did it come from?
Steve gave me that nickname because he really likes when I do an impersonation of my dad, because my dad's like my mom's Welsh, but my dad's like a really like deep Arab voice. So sometimes I'll take the piss and do my dad's voice, and Steve loves it so much that he was like, "No, we need to do something to do with that with your nickname." So he's like, "We need to call you the Sultan because you are Arab." Like, so that's where it comes from.
That's brilliant, man. That's brilliant. So I spent a lot of time in Arabic countries, mate. My father lived there, and that's pretty good impression, mate. Fair play to you. Do you know what I mean, man? So you got half Welsh and half what part of Arabic and what Arabic country is he from?
My dad's Egyptian and my mum is Welsh Australian. So my parents went, let's just stick every country in the world and just mix it up and see what comes out.
Yeah, man, that's the best way, mate. Well, they've created a fantastic fighter, man. Put it that way, mate. Do you know what I mean? That's the most important thing. Man. And what do your parents think of your career you're pursuing and stuff like that?
Well, my dad's like me. He's very, very, very competitive. So he's happy that I'm just pursuing something competitive. He's not happy that it's fighting because obviously like the damage you can take and stuff like that. But I think he can see that with this, it's not really like an up for debate type thing. This is what I really like. I really want to do this. Even if it's not fighting, it's got to be something to do with the sport. I mean, like we had an agreement when I started that I keep going I keep my grades up, and he chills out with don't fight so much. So I like as long as I work and I go uni and I keep my grades up, then he's sort of happy.
That's amazing. Fair play to you, mate. You know, you're 21, 22 years old. You're working, you're training. You know, you're going to uni. You're going to Sweden. You know, and it's different. And then getting beaten up by 5'2" women in the gym. Things
Exactly.
could be worse, mate. Do you know what I mean? But Amir, mate, I said it's an absolute pleasure to chat to you, man. Sorry, it's in a bit of a different scenery. People might notice I'm sitting on my balcony because I'm painting the house, so I've actually got paint all over my hands and everything. So, but that's exactly what I'm going back to now. Sadly, otherwise I'd quite happily speak to you for the next 4 hours, mate, and let the wife finish it off. But anyway, but before I let you go, just wanted to give a shout out, man, to just anyone who got you to where you are, mate. You know, anyone who deserves a shout out. You know, please, and anywhere where people can follow you, mate. Because at the end of the day, social media is where we are. So let people know where they can follow you, mate.
Perfect. Cool. Yeah. Well, obviously Team Underground, and I promised Steve I'd wear that. I'm not sure if you can see it. I got a Cook MMA t-shirt. I got to show that off. So yeah, obviously Steve.
We didn't see it there properly. Didn't see the shirt there properly. So,
I'm sorry, I got like selfie it. I'm not sure if you guys can see it.
No, not quite. But anyway, send
us. Right, I got you. Right. Give me 1 second.
If you want to send me a picture.
Yeah, I'll do that. But yeah, like Steve, John, like Big John, he's like my striking coach. So obviously I need to shout him out. Like all my team. I don't want to pick anyone out because if I forget anyone, I'm gonna look like an idiot. And yeah, so like all of those guys and all the promotions, man. ECMMA, UCMMA, Cage Warriors. If you've got anything coming up, let me know. I'm down for whatever. And yeah, thank you for having me on. And follow me, Amir Ellithy MMA, and hit up my website, EMG Combat, for all of your combat needs: boxing gloves, shin pads, gis, shorts, whatever you need. EMG Combat.
You cut off a little bit there. Just say the website again, mate, for your products again.
EMGcombat.com. Any of your combat needs: boxing gloves, shin pads, MMA gloves, shorts, gis, anything you need. EMGcombat.com.
That's it, mate. Hit him up, mate. Hit him up, mate. And if you can buy some of his stuff, you might fight like him as well if you're lucky. So that's it. But mate, can't wait to see you at your next event, mate. I'll try my absolute best to make sure I'm backstage, mate, like as most of them, and whatever. And it'd be good to speak to you after the fight in person, mate.
Perfect. I love that.
No worries, mate. Have a great day, mate. Yeah, and try not to kill yourself with all this bloody boredom. Yeah.
I'll do my best.
All right, man. See you later, fella.
See you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Peter.